Hello, and welcome to the session, Building a Remarkable Onboarding Experience for New Employees using Office 365 tools. Before I start, just a couple of more information. First of all, I want to thank to the organizers of the event, making this event possible, and thank you for attending my session. And as well, thanks to all of the sponsors for making this community event possible. It's really very important for this type of events. One more thing, let me tell you the code of conduct. We have a code of conduct. You can find the code of conduct also on the website and just be aware of it. And before I start, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. So, like I said, I'm Corinna. I'm working as a modern workplace consultant now for over 8 years in the consulting area. And actually, I'm working at MSG Services in Germany. So I'm from Germany. And yeah, I want to make a short announcement. So I have started a new blog. And so if you're interested to follow my blog, you can find it on my website. My blog is about Microsoft 365 and cakes. So I'm just telling you this, and you can take a look and see if it's interesting for you. And when I'm not working, I'm also organizing community events. The Microsoft Collaboration Meetup Munich, it's an event I'm organizing alone in Munich, and since the beginning of the year it's online, but it's in German. And I'm also organizing the Adoption Forum. It's also in Germany, in German language, but there are also other events that I'm organizing together with a group of people. It's the Collab Days Munich. So it was the SharePoint Saturday, but it also changed the name to Collab Days, like Benelux. And we also have this year an event. It's not called Munich, it's called Collab Days Winter Across the Alps, because we're organizing this event together with Vienna. So it will take place on the 5th of December. It's a Friday. And so if you're interested, you can register for the event. And yeah, it's similar like Collab Days Benelux. Okay. So I think that's all about me. Now let's go to the today's topics. So Corinna, that's me. I'm joining a new company, and the company is named We.Me. And my goal, the goal is to onboard and integrate me as fast as possible in the company. I want to get orientation in the new company I'm joining, and I need to get tasks assigned. So what I will do, I will show later a demo with Microsoft 365 out of the box options, how you can implement such an onboarding process with the options we already have. But before I will go to the demo, I want to just give you a little bit of introduction on the onboarding process in the company, what it is and why we need it. So I'm not an HR expert, I'm more the technical guy or girl, but I want to give a brief overview on the onboarding process. And one more thing I want to say that, so the onboarding process is a really, really good example to show the power of Microsoft 365. But it's just an example of a process. You can design so many processes with Office 365 and Microsoft 365. So the most important thing and the message of this session is to understand what possibilities you have and how easy it is to implement it. Okay, so a short definition. What is onboarding? So the onboarding term comes from the human resources area, and it refers to a systematic introduction of new colleagues in his area of work. That's all the most important message you need to know. So now let's take a look why onboarding and why this process is so important in a company. So first of all, when you join a new company, I think everyone knows there are a lot of challenges. Everything is new. You have new colleagues, you have a new environment. And there are a lot of repeating tasks for new employees. You get a user account, and then you get to know people, and then you have to attend a training. It's always the same in a company, but of course, companies are always different. Like I said, you have a new environment, new people, you have different processes like in the company you have working before. And there are also a lot of tools. Now, yeah, in time of Corona, everyone is seeing that we have a lot of communication tools and every company is working different. So when a new employee joins the company, it's very important to get an overview and to know what the company expects from him. So let's take a short look why onboarding is so important. So first of all, it's about productivity. The faster you will be onboarded, as faster you can start working productive. So the intention of every company is to onboard the employees fast to get them productive for their daily work. Another thing is motivation, because onboarding is a sign of appreciation. If you see that the company invests a lot of energy in showing you what they have and what is important, you understand, okay, they are appreciating that I'm here as a new employee. Another thing is also that you can learn from mistakes of others. So everyone and every company is making mistakes, and why not prevent from repeating these mistakes? Another thing is a specialist bottleneck. I think everyone knows that it's not easy to find specialists in specific areas of work. So we need to keep the good specialists in our companies. Fluctuation is also a factor, because you don't want to have in your company a big fluctuation. Sometimes if a little bit fresh wind is okay, but a big fluctuation is not so good for your company. And last but not least is the brand ambassador effect, because onboarding contributes to employer branding. And let's be honest, if you are happy at the company you're working for, you will go to your friends, to the people you know, and say, okay, I'm working at a really cool company and we have this process and this is cool and this is cool. And that's a much more better way to recruit new people than to have announcement for seeking new people. So these are the facts why onboarding is so important. So now let's just take a look what means onboarding for a company. When we talk about integration aspects, there are 4 different integration aspects. So the first one is the technical aspect. You have to give an overview what technical knowledge the new employee needs to have, or give him some trainings, stuff like this. Then you have the social inclusion. In times of Corona, it's not so easy to achieve this goal of the social inclusion, because most of us are at home. But you can say that the social inclusion reaches its goal when the people are getting a real community. And then you have the professional integration. So it's everything about professional stuff in the company, how to present your company outside in a presentation with a customer or stuff like this. And you have the cultural aspect. Every company has its own culture. And so the values and the goals of the company have to be provided to the new employee. So the new employee needs to understand what's the cultural thing of this company and what makes it so special. So let me give you a short overview on the onboarding phases, because it's also important later when you implement a process. So typically you have 3 onboarding phases. The first one is before the first working day, everything what is happening with a new employee before he starts working. Then you have the first working day. After that, you have the first weeks and the integration phase. The integration phase, it's always different depending also on the size of the company, because in a small company, you have maybe a shorter integration phase. In a bigger one, a longer integration phase. So before the first working day, you have tasks like sending information and documents to the new employee, setting up a workplace, creating an introduction plan, and stuff like this. Then you have the first working day. The employee is already in the company. You hand over him some stuff like welcome package, hardware, and tokens, and all the things. You will go out with him for lunch or for a coffee, and also tell him, okay, get him known with new people. That's the thing that you do in the first day. Then you have the first weeks, and then there you organize important introductions, overviews, trainings, mandatory trainings like security or stuff like this, legal topics. And then you have the integration phase that can take longer, up to 6 months or 1 year. So you have different events that can be also visited later. You have probably a professional networking community and stuff like this. So you can say, I think you can say that when you call an employee in a company that it's not the new employee, then he is integrated in the company. So as long as you call him the new one, probably he's not totally integrated. Okay, so now let's take a look on the employee onboarding process in Microsoft 365. So I have built a demo, and before I show you the demo, I just want to give you an overview what I've done and what my ideas were on implementing this process. And yeah, it's just an example how you can do it, but there are so many ways. So when you have this use case, employee onboarding, you can use different Microsoft 365 tools. Starting with SharePoint, where you can store data, you can store lists, you can store documents and stuff like this. Then you have the Stream service. In Stream, you can store videos, training videos for the new employees. What I forgot, in SharePoint, you can also build a portal. So the new employee onboarding portal. I've also built 2 of these portals. I will show you them later. Then you have Power Apps. Yeah, you can use Power Apps to design some forms, some nice forms if the SharePoint list forms are not enough. Then you have PowerAutomate, which is very, very powerful in this process, because with PowerAutomate, you can automate different tasks, processes, and stuff like this. Then you have Microsoft Teams as a communication platform to communicate for different administrative tasks, but also to provide to the new employee a platform where he can ask questions or maybe also talk to other new employees. Then you have Outlook, the classic email confirmation or registration to training or stuff like this. And we also have forms. Of course, there are also other tools you can use, but these are just some examples. So let me give you a short overview of the process in a nutshell. So what I've built are 2 portals. The first one is the onboarding management portal. It's a portal for administrative tasks for departments in the company. For example, HR. The HR department has to create a profile and all the stuff. Or then you have the IT department. The IT has to assign licenses, has to provide hardware, install software, and stuff like this. So everything what is the administrative stuff around the onboarding for the employee. And then another portal is the employee onboarding portal for the new employee. The new employee starts, and of course you have Teams, you have intranet, you have a lot of things, but the new employee first needs to find his way in the company because there is so much. And the idea of the process is that I'm working a lot with tasks. Yeah, you have tasks, and these tasks are assigned to the new employees, and they are also assigned to the responsible entities. So for the administrative tasks, to IT, HR, marketing, and stuff like this. And the process I've created uses several SharePoint lists to store master data. So the idea is that I'm using SharePoint lists to store templates. You have, like I've said at the beginning, you have repeating tasks, create an account, provide hardware, these are tasks you need to do them for every new employee. So for this purpose, I have master lists. Okay. There is also other content on the page like FAQ lists, documents, articles, training videos, employee surveys, and stuff like this. So let's take a look on the demo. So, like I said, I've created 2 portals. I want to give you an overview on the portals, on the process, and also take a look in PowerAutomate to see how the processes look like. And before everyone is asking the question, okay, I have seen already something in Microsoft Teams, employee onboarding. It's the fact that if you are working with Microsoft Teams, you know that we have the Microsoft lists that are pretty new in Microsoft Teams. And in Microsoft lists, we also have some list templates. And we also have an employee onboarding list template. But this list template is just a list. It's not doing anything else. It's just a list. So Microsoft provides something, some stuff for employee onboarding, but it's just, let's say, stupid lists or stupid sites, and you have to automate them and to make them a little bit more intelligent. Okay, so let's see. So first of all, I've created an onboarding admin page. So for the administration of this whole process, it's easy to have an admin page where you can see all the administrative actions. So like I said, we have the 2 portals, administrative onboarding and employee onboarding. In the administrative onboarding, you can manage employees, so you can create new employees. You can manage the task templates, all the tasks that are assigned to the new employees, and you can also manage task categories because I'm working with categories. And then for the second portal, the employee onboarding, you can see all the employees that are new and are in this onboarding process. You can also manage the tasks like for the administrative part, and you also have task categories. So let's take a look on the administrative onboarding. So like I said, this is just the administrative page. It's a better overview. And this is the portal. So the HR department, the IT department, everyone what has something to do with the onboarding is using this portal. The portal also has a team in Microsoft Teams. So because everyone is working with Microsoft Teams, you can communicate easy in Microsoft Teams, and you have a portal where you can have here all the important information. And what I want to do now is to create a new employee, because this this onboarding process, what is he doing? The process is adding a new employee, is adding this employee as a new user in the Active Directory. He's assigning this new user licenses automatically. And after that, the process is creating tasks, administrative tasks, in a planner board. I have also the planner board integrated here in the site, and of course you can integrate the planner also in Teams. But let's see how the process would work. So when I'm creating a new employee, the employees are stored in a SharePoint list. And this SharePoint list, as soon as I'm creating the new employee, the workflow for the employee creation process is starting. So let's say Crawford, Corinna, and female. An email address because it's proofing if it's right email address. The start date 24th of October is okay. Now I have to add here also a manager and a mentor. These fields are important because when I'm adding a manager, let's add manager. This manager is also added in the Active Directory in the hierarchy. So the user is created, Corinna is created, and in the Active Directory, the manager is also added to have all the information in the Active Directory. So then let's say we have here a mentor and a lot of other fields that have to be filled out, personal number, phone number, stuff like this. So now I have created a new employee. Now I'm here in the list of the employees, and here I can find all the new employees. At this point, a workflow starts in the background. So that's my workflow. Onboarding, create admin tasks. Let's see if the workflow has already started. Okay, not yet, but it's not an issue. Let's take a look in the workflow, what I'm doing here in the workflow. So when I'm new, I don't want to go into the details of this workflow, but I just want to give you a short overview what it's doing, and because it's really easy to implement a process like this. So when a new employee is added in the SharePoint list, what we've already just done, then we initialize a due date. The due date, we need the due date because I've said at the beginning you have different onboarding phases, and we have different tasks that have to be solved for a certain due date depending on the onboarding phases. And then I'm creating a user in the Active Directory. So these icons are always shown for the type of the action that you are using in PowerAutomate. So this is SharePoint, this is a variable, this is an Active Directory action, and stuff like this. After that, I have bundled some actions in a group, wait for account, and get some Active Directory data. So this are many actions just bundled. I don't want to go into them. I have here, I'm waiting. I have a delay for 2 minutes because sometimes it takes longer to create the user. You could also solve it nicer than I've done it, but I just want to show you. After that, after the user is created, he will be added to a Microsoft 365 group, and the licenses, so the Microsoft 365 licenses, will be assigned automatically. After that, the user is created. Now, what do we need to do? We need to create administrative tasks for HR, IT, and all the other departments. So we get the available administrative tasks from a master list, iterate them, and then we create them in a planner. So let me show you. Here we have the task template. So this is my master task list. So everyone a new employee is created, these tasks will be added for the new employee. Then, like I said, we iterate it, and then we create a new employee entry for the next process, for the employee onboarding process. And we also, I'm also using here a Teams task to post info that tasks are assigned for a new employee. Let's see if the flow has already run, because I'm also having here in the administrative onboarding, I have a team, like I said. Okay, let's see here. So the new employee, Corinna Crawford, was created just in 1 minute ago. And what I'm doing with the flow is posting information that the new employee has joined the company. And when I go now here in the administrative onboarding, at the start, in the planner board, as you can see here, I have here a planner, the planner and the task for Corinna Crawford, tasks for Corinna Crawford were added. And of course, you can integrate it also in Teams. So you could also work just with Teams. I have added here also the onboarding task. So here is the planner with the tasks, and also the employee admin. So you could manage the lists directly from Teams. So this is the first process, the administrative onboarding. After these tasks are done, or still during the tasks are done, my flow is creating here a new employee entry for the employee onboarding process. And the employee onboarding process is this one. So just the second onboarding process, a new list entry was created in this site. So it's just a second employee onboarding list, but because it has different fields, I have two lists. The first one where we create the employee and Active Directory, and the second list where it's just a copy of certain fields from the first list. So now, as Corinna Crawford, I'm coming here on this page, and I see here, okay, I have here a lot of information. So that's for the new employee. I have my time tracking, and there are some FAQs. So this is just a SharePoint list that is using view formatting. So it's not a simple list. It's just a little bit nicer with the most important FAQs. Okay, and now, like I said, the new employee, the tasks for the new employees are automatically created, because here, create new employee entry, and if I go here on the administration on my admin page, let me show you. So here I have the admin page, employee onboarding, view employees. And let's scroll down here. You can see it's a little bit small. Let's make it bigger. It's just a simple list, and the entry for Corinna Crawford was added in the employee onboarding list. And at this moment, the second process, create new employee tasks, has started. Let's take a look also in this workflow. So after the account was created and the first workflow has ended, now I want to get the available tasks for the new employees. So not the administrative tasks, the employee tasks. Now I'm initializing here some variables. I need them later for the due dates and responsible for task responsible. And then I'm iterating all the tasks and assign them to the employee in a SharePoint list, not in Planner, like I showed you before. I'm doing this in a SharePoint list, because Planner, you're using more Planner for managing tasks in a team. And if you manage tasks just for your own, you have the possibility to manage tasks in Outlook. You can manage tasks in To-Do, and you can manage tasks in a SharePoint list or Microsoft list. To-Do would be really suitable to do this, but in PowerAutomate, you have not standard actions for adding to-do tasks to different users. There is an action to add to-do tasks, but only for my own. So I could, with the standard action, you cannot create tasks for other people. There is an option to do this, but it would not be so easy with the standard actions. So that's why now I choose here to make it easy, a SharePoint list. And after that, after I'm iterating and assigning the tasks to the new employees, I'm also doing some Microsoft Teams actions. If you're wondering what this action is, this brown one, it's an action to bundle different PowerAutomate actions together. I don't want to go into detail because we can see it directly in Teams, what happens. And at the end, there will be also an email notification to the new employee. Okay, let's go here to the employee onboarding portal. And here in this area, you can see that these tasks were just created for the new user, Corinna. And this is a SharePoint list. Or Microsoft 365 list. And this list is using just a little bit of column formatting for this icon, for example, to make it a little bit nicer. And you can also integrate this in Microsoft Teams, because also for this portal, the employee onboarding, we have a team here. It's the employee onboarding team. And now you can see also the new post. It's from 7 minutes ago. Say hello to Corinna, and then you can see here also more information. So this was generated by the flow, the email was sent to Corinna, and the task list, you can also integrate this task list here in the team. Okay, so that's, let's say, the process in a nutshell. What I'm also doing here at the task is that you have tasks, you have a due date. The due date is automatically added depending on the type of task. So it's just calculated today. If you have to resolve the task in the next 2 weeks and you start today, it's today plus 2 weeks, and then the due date is calculated automatically. And what I've also added here in this list is a reference column. It's just a reference with a link to different references. For example, Microsoft 365 intro, it goes to a Microsoft website with videos to Microsoft 365. You could also, or for example, for a training, then you have the training that is directly stored in a page. And for example, then you can also use feedback surveys. So if I go here, I have feedback survey, okay. And this is done with forms. So at the end of the onboarding process, it makes sense to also have a feedback survey to get feedback on your process and see, okay, what is good, what's not so good, what we can improve, and also, let just your users give you feedback. Okay. One more thing I want to show you is also for the onboarding process, probably you already know the SharePoint lookbook. In the SharePoint lookbook, you have different templates. So you can really use the SharePoint lookbook to inspire, to get inspiration when you design your sites in SharePoint, if you're using them, because it's not mandatory. Another cool thing that you also have here is this site, the new employee onboarding hub. So it's already a template for the onboarding. I have not used it, but you can use it if you're out of inspiration. And it's also a good starting point. So it doesn't have a process or stuff like this. It's just a site in SharePoint Online, and you can add it to your tenant and then adjust it and build processes around this. And also, like I said before, in Teams, if you add a new list here, lists, let's say, okay, there are, when you create a list, there are some templates here in Microsoft Lists, and there is also the employee onboarding template list. And you can use this if you want, but you have to know it's just a template with predefined columns for your list. And if you want to use it and you want to build a process on it, you can, of course, you can do it, but you need to implement your process because it's just, let's say, a stupid list. Yeah. So you can use it just. Let's create it and see. It's just a list, and now you work with a simple list. So Microsoft provides you here some type of starting point. You have a list, you have, like you've seen on a lookbook, a site, but you have to think the process by your own. And one more thing I wanted to show is in Azure. So what I've done here is these were the members of the group I've added with my flow. And let's refresh, because the new user, Corinna, was also added to, you can see here, Corinna Crawford was added to this Active Directory group. Okay. Now I want to go back to the slides. And just give you a couple of more information. This is just an example of a process. You can extend your process as you wish. Probably you already have a lot of external systems. For example, for the HR process, most of the companies have their own tools. And at this point, it makes sense to connect the data to the external tools. So, for example, you're using SAP to manage to manage the HR onboarding process. So you could also extend the process and say, as soon as in SAP there is added a new employee, the tasks and all the process in Microsoft 365 will be triggered, so you don't have to add employees in a SharePoint list like we have done it. So at this point, you can connect the Office 365 processes with the processes that you already have in your company. When you're designing forms, when we use forms is really nice to make some surveys or to get fast information. But if you're designing complex forms and you have dependencies on different fields, or you want to work with lists and edit this list afterwards, then Power Apps is suitable. So if you need a complex list forms, you can use Power Apps. And then, of course, you can go deeper and go into Azure automation and automate operational tasks across Azure and on-premises environments and automate all these processes. And of course, you also have the SharePoint framework. With the SharePoint framework, you can develop your own web parts. For example, if you want a really, really nice overview of the new employees and maybe all the tasks he's doing, you could use SharePoint framework, or you can also use that's just an idea that came now. You can also use Power BI to get some count, some yeah. So you have different options to extend your process. And as a short recap, first of all, you should not underestimate the onboarding process in a company, because it's really very important, like I've said at the beginning. The onboarding process is just one use case that shows you how you can work with Office 365, Microsoft 365, and the biggest challenge is on designing good processes. It's much more complex than implemented it in SharePoint and PowerAutomate. So if you have, let's say, a good developer or consultant that is fit in all the functionality with Microsoft 365, it's really fast done. But designing the process and thinking about what makes sense and the logical process is much more complex than most of us think that it is. Okay, so I see that I was a little bit faster than I should, but probably better for you. You will have a longer break between the sessions. And I'm also having here the most important resources. And if you have any questions, I will take a look in the chat if you have any questions. And if you have afterwards any questions, of course, you can contact me on social media or per email or directly via my website. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's do it like this. We still have 5 minutes left, so I will now open the Discord channel, and then we can do some questions. So Louise is asking, why did you choose PowerAutomate flows over Azure Logic apps? Thinking of examples, flow run in the context of a user, execution durations and 90 days, and the run history.
Yeah, Louise, you're right. I think you could do it very good also with logic apps. First of all, I think it's much more easier to understand in PowerAutomate. The second thing is that also if you're starting to build, for example, a proof of concept, you most of the time start with PowerAutomate. Let's do a short workflow, or let's automate it a little bit, and after that, the proof of concept grows, and probably you will move to Azure Logic Apps. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then there's another one from Matthias. Would it be a good idea to create an employee onboarding application instead of a portal? Wouldn't it be more innovative as an employer?
I think it depends. So it depends, because the opinions are different. Some of the people say, okay, one more app. I don't want one more app because I have so many. And if you are developing an app, you also need to decide, okay, are you creating a Power App, or are you creating a classic web app? I think a Power App, for example, is a little bit unflexible. Also, keyword responsive design. So if you're thinking about creating a web app, yes, you can do it, but I think the development effort is a little bit bigger. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that were the questions. Thank you. So if there are still questions, we have still 3 minutes to go. And there's also a feedback link that is available on the website. So please always provide feedback to all sessions so that speakers know how good it was and that they can always improve.
I think there is one more question in the chat. Should I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. There is a question if the solution is packaged somehow for easy deployment. Not yet. Not yet. No. But I think so. You have different options to make it available, and probably also, like Louisa said, with Logic Apps, it's also a little bit easier also with packaging. Yeah. Good.
Perfect.
So if there are any questions afterwards, you can also ask them in the chat, because I will also take a look on the chat later.
Thank you very much. So have a great day, and in 15 minutes, we start the next session. So see you there.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
The Omita framework is an enterprise-ready software platform that makes it possible to set up an easy integration between your existing back-office applications and push all the relevant information into digital workplaces. Omita has developed various kinds of solutions which can be easily deployed and linked to your back-office applications. Omita has solutions for contract management, HR to speed up onboarding and offboarding processes, sales dashboards, shop floor portals, and many more. If you want more information, visit our website.